Hey fam, this is Art from Myconotes, about to clone some mushrooms I recently collected, spraying everything down with 70% isopropyl alcohol to make sure that we kill all of the baddies that are trying to get on our petri dishes. And since we're going to be working with different types of mushrooms, I use different tools. So sometimes I use scalpel, it's a brand new blade. Sometimes I use these tweezers that have a super pointy tip. Both of them are just kind of heavy stainless steel that can really bear down and pull some pieces off of some of these mushrooms. Are super tough. I also, in addition to spraying all the outside and killing everything with alcohol, I'm going to use this sterilizer that I made. It's a induction sterilizer, so I actually have a foot switch that I'm stepping on, and all I got to do is put the tip of that right inside of there, and it glows red hot. You can't hear it, but it's actually sizzling the alcohol that was on there. So I'll just go ahead and prepare both tools. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to use. I guess I'll do the Mustard Polypore first, and with that one I like to use the tweezers, but I'll go ahead and just have this one at the ready. That way it's in front of the flow hood, it's in clean air, and somebody's going to point out that it's at the perimeter of the clean air. I know. But we'll be okay. Everything's going to be fine. I'm just keeping my mushroom samples over in clean air on a tissue that has been doused. Sorry, a paper towel has been doused with alcohol as I'm dousing everything. I don't use parafilm. I use that grafting tape, which is really just kind of like saran wrap or something. It's not breathable. I think for mycology it's less important that something's breathable. Plus, I'm not going to keep these things long term. This is going to be a couple weeks at the most, really a week, because things happen very fast when you're cloning these things that are collected from the wild. They're just filthy. So you got to sit here and you really douse the outside with as much alcohol as it can stand. Don't worry about the outside. It's the inside we care about. And I'm just going to basically tear that open. Let me get a little more alcohol in my hands. I love getting my fingers all covered in alcohol. See, there's a break or kind of a tear in it already when I was trying to remove it. That means that's probably dirty. So I'm going to pull it apart from a clean part that has not yet been torn apart. And there we are. I'm trying to get it in the light over here. There it is. So I'm going to put both ends together here so I have options. Get a little more alcohol in my hands. I'm going to get the tweezers because this is tough. Just trying to tear this Mustard Yellow Polypore, I can tell this is tough. So here's my, I'm going to, pull a piece off and just stick it in there. And let me just find a nice part that looks like it's been hidden away and not exposed to the outside air. I looked at these pretty well. There's a nice little chunk. You don't want to get too big of a chunk. And just stab it in there, and don't keep that thing open for very long because you got a dirty mushroom in your hands, and you just want to be touching the outside of everything, not the inside. I'm going to get another piece over here. I'm using the tweezers because it's very tough, and also all you need is just a really tiny little piece. These are, hyphae are 1 micron thin. I love this when it gets stuck to one end of the tweezer, because then all I got to do is stab, and I'm in. Now I'm going to get one more piece. Let me find a good spot here. It hasn't been touched. Get the outside air. Get a little chunk out of there. That's perfect. See, you can barely see that, I know, but right at the end of that tweezer, it's a tiny little thing. Stab ya. And guess what I did? I just took 3 tissue samples in one go, one plate, and I'm not wasting a bunch of these plates. These are made out of polystyrene. They're not good, but this is kind of the world that I live in right now. I can't really handle reusable plates and Pyrex and all that stuff, so this is what we're dealing with. So I try and maximize it as best I can. Here's a Cinnabar. We used to call Cinnabar, I guess. I don't know what we're calling it now. Trametes something. Sanguinea or something like that. But it's the red, orange Cinnabar that has a nice sort of thick part right down the middle. It's not nearly as tough as the Mustard Yellow was, So I can kind of easily tear that. I put the cap side towards themselves, and I really want to just get that lighter bit that's right in the middle. That's the part that's still alive. Even if the outside of this feels a little tough and leathery, the inside still most likely has some living mycelium in there, and so we're going to pull some of that out after I sterilize once again in my induction sterilizer. Don't worry about it being red hot and you're pulling a tissue off of here. There's plenty that I'm going to get. It might sizzle the little top piece, but don't worry. See, that's a decent sized chunk there, almost too much, but that'll be fine. Again, stuck to the outside of the tweezers, it lets me stab it in there. So convenient. Let's find another spot here. I'm trying to do this so you can see it. That little chunk right there wants to come. Sometimes I get too big of a chunk. Oop, that's way too big of a chunk. I don't like that. Yeah, we're just going to toss that. I want a smaller chunk, and in fact, I'm going to sterilize again because I kind of changed my grip on that mushroom, and you just never know. You just want to stay clean, so it doesn't hurt to just sterilize that again. Let me go for a smaller piece. Do I have anything on there? Oh, I do. I'll get some more, though. Right there. There you go. Now I just stab that right into there. You see, I'm just doing kind of a triangle pattern there. That way I can keep them equidistant, far enough away from each other that they don't, they grow independently. I'm going to pull another piece off of that and grab something out of the clean section, since that's been kind of in the palm of my hands with this dirty stuff. I'm going to spray it again, spray both hands. Right, I'm going to go from the stem side because that's going to split more easily. Look at that. I've got options. Spray again a little bit. Does that one? You want that one? I don't know. They both look like good candidates right in there. Yeah. So let me sterilize this again. All this happening underneath my rack. My rack's about 4 inches up. I just like to keep stuff like that. Everything just kind of drops down there as dirty. I don't have to worry about it. Here's a piece. Look at that. Oh, you can barely see it, I know, but it's perfect. It's in there. Stab that in there, and we are done. Look at that. Love it. 1, 2, 3. Love it. Okay. Good job. Now we can put that back. We're done with you. We've cloned 2 mushrooms here already, and we've taken 3 tissue samples from different parts of those mushrooms. And so we're going to have 9 opportunities, therefore, do the math, to be able to clone these species. And so I do 3 tissue samples per species per plate, and that just keeps it more efficient. That would normally be 9 plates, and that's kind of wasteful. And who needs that? So this last one's kind of a mystery mushroom. It was growing on a Chinese ligustrum stump that had been cut in the green belt, had been cut intentionally, and this thing was just growing out of the center of it. It's kind of a polypore. I'm not really sure, Trametes looking, but it's got really big pores at the top and some that are coming out on, on the underside, and some that are coming out on the top. So I'm going to douse this thing. They're big pores, so there's probably bugs and worms and everything in there. I'm just going to douse everything. But there's a big fat part where the stem, almost like a stem butt, if you pull that apart, you see all that white part in there? That's what I want. Again, I'm going to put them together just to give myself some options. This looks incredibly dirty. I know. You guys are like, look, that little clean part in there. You didn't touch that. Don't worry. We are going to get some tissue samples out of this. I'm going to move you to the front here since you're the star of the show. Let me grab, this one's especially tough, really rubbery, kind of like a turkey tail. That's why I'm leaning in that direction. There's a couple. Look, I got 1 on each. How lucky. How lucky. Save me some work. I just need to pull 1 more. So I'll get it. Let me see. Should I try and get it out of the other one? Try and get it out of the other one. See how I'm kind of stabbing one end and then I'm pulling, kind of wrenching apart? That's kind of, I don't like that. It's too big. Yeah. Let's get a tinier piece. I guess I've opened that up now. I can just grab this little chunk right there. Nope, won't come. Get that little chunk off of there. Did I get it? I think I got it. I got two. I'll pick the bigger one. Why not? Stab you in there. And guess what we just did? We just cloned 3 mushrooms. Look at that. As easy as pie. Now you want to douse everything with alcohol, 70% isopropyl. Get your hands. I wear gloves. You don't have to. A lot of people do. I'm just going to go ahead and unroll part of this tape that's been exposed to the outside. I'm going to get my dish here. It's a little slippery because I got alcohol on it, but you just hold it around the edges there, and now you can turn it. I'm stretching as I turn here, so it's actually creating a tight seal. You don't have to go crazy like I am, but just, get enough turns on it, and then you just break it off, and we're good. Now, sometimes when I'm tearing this film, I will dislodge the sample from the dish, and I won't notice it, and so I'll see something growing from a non-kind of 3-point triangle area, and I'll think it's contaminated, and I realize, oh no, while I was taping the dish, I knocked the specimen off, and it's now over here. So just kind of be mindful of how hard you're tearing this. I buy this from Micropose, but you can get kind of any brand of this grafting tape, and it's pretty inexpensive. And that's that. What do you think? Here's our species. I'm pretty sure we did the mustard yellow, the mystery mushroom, and the red Trametes, and we're good to go. Thanks for watching.